Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds. We are again on the road, so my apologies for kind of the makeshift uh, setup here. I'm going to be doing a whole lot of looking away and talking to Melanie, who's right here, and um, Morgan is over there. She's over. So, but we are going to make this thing work. The my setup is quite a bit different. I don't have my bigger monitor as it is, and right now I am trying my best to make this work. Let's see. All right, now I've got the comments up here.
And I just put hello to everybody.
So yep, the topic of the night is, and we promised this for the last 3 weeks or so. We're going to talk about your favorite birds. My favorite birds, your favorite birds. I polled the staff at the store and got answers from them. And you guys have been emailing. You guys have been responding to the post on Facebook. You've been responding to the post on YouTube. So I've got a spreadsheet here, and I've been trying to keep up with it as best I can. Everybody submitted. The problem with this program I'm using, I can only put in 10 pictures. So right as of right now, I have 22 different birds that people have submitted as their favorites. Six of those got 2 votes, and then there was one species that got 3 votes, and technically a second one. We're going to talk about that. So, but I always like to give people a chance to join in and see how many we've got on, because I know we're both live on YouTube and Facebook, and I've been told that Facebook can have a bit of a lag whenever it comes to being able to see us and hear us and give them a chance to check in. So we're going to, always at the first, we try to welcome everybody and let you know, of course, that I am Mark McKellar. I am a wildlife biologist by trade. I own the Backyard Bird Center in Kansas City, Missouri. So I am located here in the central part of the country. And I know you guys are checking in from all over. Let's see who we've got checking in right now. Let's see. We're at the top of the list is Steve. Absolutely. I know Steve from South Alabama. Steve sent me a really nice email talking about his favorite birds and kind of how he got interested in it. Um, See, yeah, the family is here. Well, my daughter is here, not my son, but Morgan is here. Melanie's sitting right here, and she's going to try to keep me on track, helping out here tonight. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Oh, that's Melanie checking in with us. Okay. Dave for Rhode Island. Yep. Hi, David. I got your letter too. I've got a really nice letter from David, how he got inspired, and we're going to talk about his. Let's see. What did I just do? Oh, it just jumped on me. That's the problem with this screen right now. Is I don't have my usual stuff, so it's kind of jumping around on me. So be patient. Let's see who we have here. Evelyn. Her says her favorites are mourning doves. Excellent. We'll mark that on the list. Let's see. Is that archipelago too? Mourning doves, hog, all the what happened to the other birds? Yes, they are the vacuum cleaners of the bird. Oh, look at there. The next comment from David: mourning doves, nature's vacuum cleaners. Absolutely, they are. People love them. I tell you, mourning doves are one of the most popular birds out there. I don't know if you guys have poked around on my YouTube channel very much, but um, probably the second most popular video, or third most popular video I've ever done was on mourning doves, which was a total shock to me. I mean, keeping bees out of your hummingbird feeders, and some of those videos are really popular, but the mourning dove video just shows you how many people really love mourning doves for sure. Let's see. Hi, David from Rhode Island. Yep. And
On Facebook, we have Raj from Kansas City.
Right, Raj from Kansas City is checking in on Facebook. Archipelago's in Toronto. Thank you. Absolutely. Let us know where you're from. David from Rhode Island, as always. Yep. I knew that. That regulars. And Raj, there you are. Raj from Kansas City. Yep. And let's see. Jen G. Greetings from Maine, up there in one of my favorite states, up there in. I love going to West Quoddy Head State Park, up at the very northeast tip of Maine. Is one of my favorite parks in the whole country. Let's see. Steve Bird from Northeast Illinois. Thank you. Hello, hello. Let's see what we got going down the list here. Let's see. Raj, yep, there goes my crazy cursor jumping all over the place. Sorry. What do we got here? Megan from New York. Hi from New York. Let me see if you can get that to post.
Raj says his bird, he already knows his favorite is the painted bunting.
Ah, well, there might be another one with 3 votes or even 4 votes.
Did you put my vote down?
I did. I put
Okay.
your vote down. Yep. Hi from New York. I'm super new into the hobby, but the first bird that I saw at my feeder that blew me away was the rose-breasted grosbeak. It is on the list. It is definitely made. I don't know if you saw the cover bird for tonight's announcement. I used it as the cover bird for the YouTube channel. Let's see. Tiff's backyard birding. Let's see.
We got Ellie from KC and
Hi, Ellie. I know you. Ellie from
Carol
KC.
and Jay from rural Platte County.
Yep, I know Carol and Jay. They come on our bird hikes. Absolutely. Tiff from Georgia. Just so you know, my 3 baby bluebirds, dead fledged now. Oh, great. And they are coming back
Did you
to
stick that on the
my
front?
patio. I did. To bird bass and the bird and eat mealworms. That's excellent. Bluebirds are fledging. I don't know if there's a second nest or some of the people are already on their 3rd nest. We are so hot and so dry. We're in South Carolina right now. We're in North Myrtle Beach on a family vacation. We came down for a family reunion and we're broadcasting from here. And my goodness, it is very, very warm here. And the humidity is sky high. And I've been told by friends that this is the hottest it's been all year. This is when it gets tough for birds. You know, make sure that water is available.
Heat index was 111.
What's that?
Heat index was 111 here today.
Yeah, Melanie just told me that the heat index was 111 today. That's wonderful. Let's see. Delightful Gardens by Debbie. I know you. Let's see.
Atlas Emal is from North Carolina. Can't just pick one. You see that one?
Purple Martins. Hi from Pennsylvania. I'm trying to get through here. Like I say, let's see. Denise Ackerman, you from Washington, right? Denise, I'm pretty sure that's where you check in from. I've got your birds on the list. Making my way down. And J.D. Miller, yep, they get Jay and Carol from Platte County. They're near the store. And like I said, they come on our bird hikes. Good to see you guys in. Atlas, oh, favorite birds. Can't pick just one. That's been, believe me, that's been a very common thread by a lot of people who send in comments that how difficult just picking one truly is. And I get you exactly. Spark bird was black-throated blue warbler. That is a really good one. I've seen over 300 species in my home state. Checking in from North Carolina. That's where I am from. And yes, black-throated blue warblers are very common in migration for sure. Welcome in. And you're just north of us right here. So we're from where we're sitting. So, all right. So that, and yeah, you said the spark bird. I've always called them click birds. Whenever the bird love just clicked, it's something that's like a switch got thrown on and boom, it just took off from there. So I hope I got everybody as I went down, mentioned everybody. So now that we're in and everybody, we've kind of, you guys are right. We're going to take off with the topic tonight, which of course is your favorite bird. And like I said, but thank you so much for everybody sending in their ideas. And I've told my story, I don't have a picture, but I was going to be a fisheries biologist when I went to North Carolina State. My shirt on today, North Carolina State. And I was in wildlife school. And whenever you declared a wildlife major, you had to be a fisheries emphasis or a wildlife emphasis. And I was a big fisherman in high school and college. And so I wanted to be a fish biologist. Well, between our junior and senior year of college, we had to live 6 weeks out in the woods in open air cabins doing wildlife management techniques. And so we had to learn all the different techniques, mark and recapture, different things you do to census bird and wildlife populations, that kind of thing. Well, we had to do lots of censusing. We had to do quail call routes, and we had to identify bird songs, and we got tested on it. Well, the guy that was my best friend in college, we met in college and we got hanging out together. His parents were big bird watchers. And we were out doing a walking quail count one morning for school. and one of our stops, there was a little small plantation of young pine trees. And I heard this bird singing from one of the trees. And I went, oh, that's a prairie warbler, isn't it? Because that's one we had to learn. And John said, yeah, he's right up there on top of that little pine. And I put my binoculars up, and the morning sun hitting that bright yellow bird with the black stripes down his chest and black markings on his face. And it went click. And I said, oh my goodness. I said, that is the most beautiful bird I've ever seen. And John, whose parents were big bird watchers, and as he tells me, he learned all his stuff from osmosis, being around his parents all the time, and he just absorbed all this knowledge. And I said, God, it's so pretty. He said, Mark, there's a lot of beautiful, just as beautiful birds in the world, and in our area, we need to go out and start really looking for them. And I went, that sounds like a really good idea. And from that moment on, I never wanted to be a fish biologist. I changed all my classes and emphasis to birds. And every job I pursued out of college was about birds and bird research and bird management. And that's been the start of it. That's when it all went click for me, was in college. So I hear people say, oh, I must be getting old. That, I like birds now. But it happened to me in college. So I know a lot of you have click moments, or a lot of times there's somebody in your past that was very influential to you. A lot of times I hear, my grandmother fed birds and I love watching them, or my dad. And there's different people have different ways they got into it. And I've really found it interesting with you guys that, sending in your stories. Some of you came at it, from lots of different angles, and that's kind of as diverse as there are birds out there. So, what birds made the list? So I'm going to start going down the list here. We're going to start, and believe me, there's no particular order, because what I was doing as your emails came in and your posts came in, I was just adding them to this spreadsheet, so they're not in any particular order. And I've tried to include your comments in it if you had one that went along with it. So the very first one that I put down was MJ in Florida. And when it gives me username, sometimes I don't know what your real name is, obviously. So it came in from MJ from Florida, and the first vote that came in was for house wren, which I find very interesting. House wrens, Jenny wrens, as they call them, incredible songsters, that is a very unique bird, and people really do like them. They look forward to hearing them every spring. Next one on the list. See, where am I? Jessica Jane from North Carolina. She says, without a doubt, her favorite bird is a tree swallow, which is, let me get this picture up here. Tree swallows are beautiful birds, absolutely gorgeous. The color of iridescent blue-green on their back and the stark white bellies, they are beautiful, and they're master aerialists. Of course, all the swallows are. They just zip and zag and zig, and they're very, very popular birds. Let's see if I can read her comment. Without a doubt, the most beautiful of the swallows. That's absolutely true. And I've seen them on the internet and became obsessed with them. And I don't think she has yet to see one in person, but she fell in love with that bird just from pictures on the internet, which I find it very, very cool. We got any more coming in?
There's people saying hi, and let's see. Did you see Sherry Gardens all around? Hello, Mark. Love your channel and my adorable and smart cat birds.
Oh, cat birds.
And then Ryan Weaver from Massachusetts, although currently in Quebec. Kristen, hi from New York. Love my bluebirds and downy woodpeckers.
All right.
Donna Barber from Kansas City says the bird that got her to buy our first bird book was the northern flicker.
Absolutely. A vote for the northern flicker there, but said it what inspired her to buy her first bird book. And in the nature center world where I'm from, there's not another bird. Well, probably rose-breasted grosbeak may be a close second, but more questions get generated, phone calls to us when we're working nature centers and the conservation department about flickers. People just are fascinated by them. They're big, they're showy, spots on their chest, the white rump, the band across their chest. They're just real showy birds, and people really like them, and they generate questions. And that is a good bird to get people to start looking at the birds out there. So flicker's a really good vote. The Jennifer Warren says Carolina wren. Now, that's a state bird of where I'm sitting right now. The Carolina wren is a state bird here in South Carolina, and I love them. She said, I named one Rooster. Let's see.
Do you see Vincent Vasquez from Maryland? He says, I like chickadees.
Oh, another who's it, Vasquez?
Yeah, I think so. Vazquez.
Yep.
Vincent.
Vincent Vasquez said he votes for chickadees, and chickadees have gotten a lot of votes. I can tell you that. With her Carolina wren, she named Rooster because every morning at about 6:30, it visits my front porch and tells us it's time to get up. And absolutely, I know exactly what you're saying there. When I lived in those open air cabins, my senior year in college that we lived in, the Carolina wrens were their alarm clock every morning. Those and the wood thrushes, they sang they woke up very early and they made sure we were up singing outside of our door and stuff. So that's a really let me see here. A good vote, that's for sure. All right, let me get this back over here. Like I said, this is not being very cooperative. All right, and Seal, S-E-E-L, it was after my own heart. He voted for fox sparrow. Now, I'm a big fan of native sparrows. I've talked about them before. I've written articles about them, got published. I love the native sparrows, white-throated, white crown, all those that come to your feeders, even juncos are native sparrows. But he voted for fox sparrow, which is a man after my own heart. That's a beautiful bird. It's not the sparrow group. I call them the Rodney Dangerfields of the bird world. They just don't get any respect. People think, oh, those brown birds and stuff. But the fox sparrow is a very noble vote, in my opinion. Let's see. TJ says gray catbird. Absolutely. It's the second vote I know for that. Patty Davis says bluebirds, period. She, and of course, bluebirds got a lot of votes tonight. I know that Kurt, Carrie, who works at the store, is her significant other, and he is nuts about bluebirds. He wanted to put his vote in for the bluebirds. And let's see, let's get to here. There it is. Get that up there.
Ryan Weaver's just posted the first Baltimore Oriole. I saw it close. Absolutely took my breath away. Followed your advice this year on attracting them. It was magical early summer for us.
There's a
YouTube comment.
A YouTuber just jumped in with a vote for Baltimore Orioles. The Baltimore Orioles have several votes. This is a great capture of a male Eastern Bluebird coming to a box, and it has received a few votes tonight. Believe me, Bluebirds are very, very popular, and and because they are so commensal with man now, Bluebirds nesting in Bluebird boxes is now, since the 1940s. Is standard, and so they're great for people. They can get them nesting in the yard. They're showy. They have a beautiful song. You can be a good landlord, a good steward for them. So bluebirds, no secret that the bluebirds made the list. That's for sure. All right, let's see. And Melanie was just saying that had to vote for the Baltimore Oriole. The Baltimore Oriole has made the list a few times, no doubt about it. Let's see. I've got one vote here from Margaret Wilson Schmidt. Margaret says the Baltimore Oriole. Let's see. This is the Baltimore Oriole. I don't know when I saw my first one, but I have been trying to attract them ever since. And she loves photographing them. Very photogenic bird is what I'm trying to say here. The Baltimore Oriole. Hopefully, it's high on your list as well, because, like I said, it's it's definitely showed up in our survey that this week. People submitting them as a favorite. Let's see what else we have here. All right. And then Brian sent in his favorite, and it happens to be Melanie's as well. And that is the painted bunting. You guys up in the northern parts of the country, in northwestern, northeastern, probably don't get to see painted buntings. It'd be a rare occurrence for them to occur there, but an absolutely beautiful bird of the south, and especially the extreme south, and the coastal states is where they're more common. But they used to call it a non-periel bunting, of unequal beauty, and it really does. When people see them for the first time, I remember showing Melanie her first one back when we were dating, and she was like, "Oh my God, it does! It looks like a cage bird. It looks like a exotic. It belongs in the tropics." And knowing that those birds live and breed here in the southern U.S., it's a very special bird. So I can see why now that one's got up to 3 votes, I think. So the painted bunting, it's the male is quite gaudy, as we say, but beautiful. And all of a sudden, we're having a thunderstorm here. I don't know if you guys can hear that rumbling in the background.
So Raj on Facebook says his favorite is painted bunting, and his second favorite is the Baltimore Oriole.
Painted bunting. Raj says favorite painted bunting and Baltimore Oriole. Yeah, that's definitely 2. This is okay. Got to get this back and this button here. Maryland. All right. Let's see. Jen G. Tufted titmouse. I love it. The tufted titmouse, the bird that people call the little gray cardinal. They say, I've got a baby gray cardinal, but it's gray. And it's, before they learned that, a tufted titmouse, a very, very popular bird. It was my very first yard bird in the house we lived in for the last 15 years. When we went over and looked at that house, it was one calling in the backyard. So I consider it the first yard bird of that my yard there. Very popular. Love peanuts, and they very vocal. I did my song one last week. Peter, Peter, Peter is their song. So, let's see. Stop it, Mike. He says, add another one here. I love tree sparrows and barn sparrows. They follow me around and my property looking for bugs. I flushed up. Yeah, there's a lot of birds that make their living that way. The cattle egrets they're famous for, and cowbirds are famous. They follow around mammals, and when the mammals kick the bugs up, they jump up and grab them. And barn swallow, that's what I thought you meant, Mike. Barn swallows are absolutely stunning birds and considered the most beneficial bird in North America. Let's see what we got going here. What's your favorite QC?
Northern Quebec bird.
Yeah.
And will you ever visit?
And will I ever visit? Boy, I'd love to someday. I would. I've never visited that far north. I've only, I've been to Niagara Falls on the Canada side, and I've been right up against it in Maine. But Minnesota, I've been right up against Canada, but I haven't had a chance to bird up there like I'd like to one day. My favorite bird, and people ask me this, and I didn't have a chance to put it in picture wise, but I love the loggerhead shrike. It's my favorite bird. I fell in love with in college. And it's they're beautiful birds, but it's not the beauty of them. It's that bird's lifestyle and what it does with the little bit. It's the size of a robin. It has feet of a songbird, but it catches prey and impales it on thorns, and it's just an ingenious lifestyle for them. And I really do like them. And I know they might be up there in northern Quebec. Roscoe checking in from, let's say, New Hampshire. You love the gray jay. I love it. The camp robber, we call them. The gray jays are very smart birds, and I've seen them snatch a cracker right out of somebody's hand before. They are bold. We call them camp robbers, camping up in Minnesota and South Dakota and places like that when we're up there and out west in Colorado. They're very bold, and they a proud member of the jay family for sure. Well, on my list, let's see who I've got next on here. Carrie voted for the great blue heron, and everybody knows what a great blue heron looks like. That's a majestic bird. She's always loved that bird and see it around a pond. So that's a great vote. Um, Ruth, who I've known for many, many years, 32 years, and her classic answer to go along with everybody who said it's really hard to choose just one, Ruth's reply was the bird that she sees next. So, in other words, all birds are her favorites, and so she just whatever bird she sees next, that's her new favorite because she loves birds and she has for many, many years. All right, let's see. Got another vote for a tufted titmouse. Oh, Megan Whispers voted Blue Jay. Bravo. There's so many people. I don't like Blue Jays. I hate Blue Jays. I hate Blue. But I think Blue Jays are great birds. I mean, absolutely beautiful birds and serve such an important role in the environment. The Blue Jays are, like I said, one of my favorites. So a couple that are no surprise. Another Baltimore Oriole. I love our friend Kim Deffenbach said, any duck. She said, I just look forward to every year in migration when the ducks are coming through the ponds and stuff on their property and the lake. She just loves seeing any duck, period. So that's, absolutely. So that's a good vote. I like that. And here is the bird that, is no surprise it's on the list as well, is the northern cardinal. It's America's favorite songbird. Every year, some magazine will do a survey like we did doing here. What's your favorite bird? Well, overwhelmingly, the cardinal wins just about every time, or does every time. No secret here. Absolutely beautiful. Ellie said, the first one's feeding in the morning when she gets up. The last one's feeding at night when she goes to bed, and they're just showy all the time between. So, no secret. Cardinals are among favorites, and it got several votes as well. That's for sure. So, who will we? Let's see. Oh, and here is another very, very popular bird. They got a lot of votes. And I actually put in the picture of all three, but the one that got the most votes, I will definitely say, is the white-breasted nuthatch, which is the one on the right. I did get a vote for a red-breasted nuthatch on the upper left, and the brown-headed nuthatch, Stephen from South Alabama, who has them coming to his feeders down there. And he mentioned them, but I think it kind of an inspiration bird, and I'm going to read his story here in a little bit, was white-breasted nuthatch. It definitely, he called it the penguin bird when he first saw it and didn't know what it was, and inspired him to go out and get a bird book and start learning more about birds and their habits and what they wanted to eat. And his hobby just grew from them. And I think that's when he was in New Jersey, but now he lives in South Alabama, and he's a regular here on our lives for sure. But lots of votes for the white-breasted nuthatch. And, when I did I don't know if you guys watched the vocal that I recorded, Learning Bird Songs, we talked about how white-breasted nuthatches sound like they're just laughing at you all the time, which is it's a fun thing. They're just a fun bird. People love them.
There's a couple of YouTube comments. Chris Wooten from North Carolina says goldfinch and chickadee.
Yep.
He also has a question for you about what you could be seeing that's the size of a cardinal, but it's gray and white, and he's 45 minutes west of Charlotte.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going down the list. I'm right there next. Raj said he saw his first painted bunting in Clinton Lake, which is just west of Kansas City, over there toward Lawrence. And they do nest that far north in our area. All right. And let's see. I get this one up here. Chris Wooten, goldfinches and chickadees. Yeah, goldfinches didn't get as many votes as I thought they would. As I know, I've got one other person who voted for a goldfinch, but it's a good mention because the goldfinches are so popular. And another vote for chickadees. I'm telling you, chickadees are going to come out on top on this. They have really gotten a lot of votes. All right. Let's see that a part of Chris's message. I'm 45 minutes west of Charlotte and see a bird the size of a catbird, but it is. What could it be? The size of a cardinal.
It's gray and white.
And it's gray and white. Does it have a crest, Chris? I don't know. Gray and white. I wonder if that might be a kingbird. If it's sitting on power lines, is it coming to feeders? Yeah. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, there's some different choices there.
I like John's. I'm not going to pronounce his last name, but his comment up
John's
there.
just getting here. John from Central Texas. My favorite bird is the American robin. There's a good vote. It was the first bird my mom introduced me to 70 years ago. A nostalgic favorite. Love your show. Thank you, John. Absolutely. And like I said, so many people, when it comes to their love for birds, it does come from, a parent or a loved one of someone who really, and I know I've got a lot of people who view certain birds as spirit birds. They associate with a loved one who has passed and things like that. They're birds trigger a lot of emotion in people, and I understand that for sure. And that is so terrific that she turned you on to birds at a young age. When we get parents come in the store and they have kids with them, and they're looking at, we have some kids' toys and birds that squeeze and make the proper sounds and stuff, and we always encourage, to just facilitate that interest, cultivate that interest in birds and do what you can, because someone who grows up with that appreciation for nature, it will serve them for the rest of their life. Birds bring people together. Yeah, that's what I love it. No matter what walk of life you're from, you guys are checking in from all over the country. Many different birds. It's wonderful to hear the stories. That's for sure. Let's see. Stop it, Mike. Blue Jays are great. Best alarm calls. They are. We always call them the burglar alarm of the forest. Mike, the Blue Jays are and serve such an important role in nature. And plus, they're the Johnny Appleseeds of the oak tree world. They plant a lot of oak trees for us, which is great. Let's see, Alyssa, hi from New Jersey. I watch a Blue Jay place a peanut in my neighbor's rain gutter. I love it. Made me laugh so much. Exactly. Boy, Blue Jays they're the Johnny Appleseeds. I'm telling you, man, they bury acorns, they bury peanuts, they stash them, and studies show they only find a fraction of what they actually bury. So a lot of those grow up into the oak trees and plants. And so I had a friend years ago said she watched this plant growing in her garden. She didn't know what it was, and then it got big enough. She was able to identify it, and it was a peanut plant, and she knows it was from the Blue Jays burying the peanuts in her garden. So they definitely do that. Let's see. I know this person. Morgan has texted in. She loves a snowy owl, and that is definitely a favorite of a lot of people. It's a magical bird, and you guys up in Quebec have a much better chance of seeing them than we do down here. But we love it when we do get to see them.
Oh my goodness. We may lose Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we just the power just went out a little bit here, so we've got they're running on batteries. Obviously the laptops are, so we will get there.
The Wi-Fi though.
Yeah, we might lose Wi-Fi. We don't know about that, so
we'll get back on and finish later.
Yeah, we will try. If we get knocked off, we will get back on as quick as we can.
We're doing all right now.
Frill, Des, East Texas here. By far the painted buntings. Yeah, you lucky guy down there. You get to see them. I know our Oklahoma friend, he gets them at his bird feeders. They're magical birds. Just absolutely beautiful. Let's see who we got here. Oh, Chris Wooten. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. On the perch. I bet it was a kingbird. That's what I'm thinking. Rise says, well, how about indigo buntings and blue grosbeaks? Yeah, neither of those got any votes on this. I was quite surprised. Rose-breasted grosbeaks got votes, and people love the indigo buntings. Blue grosbeaks are another bird, more southern bird. They're just not as common at feeders, so I think that's maybe why blue grosbeaks didn't get as many votes. And indigos are only really short-lived at feeders. That's probably it. Let's see. Stever bird. Cedar waxwings are really stunning. That's correct. And they saw once in my yard many years ago. Yeah, waxwings are absolutely beautiful. I remember we had one that was hit a window, and we had mounted at the nature center where I was working, and we got it back from the taxidermist, and we pulled it out, and we were unwrapping it and going to put it on display, and Melanie happened to be there, and she was looking at it. And she said, they did a really good job painting that. And I said, what do you mean painting that? And she was talking about the black mask. And she said, isn't that paint? I said, no, that's feathers. That is, they are, it's just stunning. And Mother Nature's paint on that bird is very, very striking. They're beautiful birds. So absolutely. Let's see look over here and get some off of here. Got the ducks. Here's one. My friend Malcolm lives here in Kansas City. Let me see. He talked about, when he got into bird watching, and a lot of it had to do, it was a family activity, getting out and hiking when he first started really getting and noticing birds. And then I can't grab this thing and make it slide over. Okay. All right. But he voted for sandhill crane, which is a very noble vote. Let me if I can get the picture. Oh, there they are. All right, add to the stream. Sandhill crane. So this is a fruit and only vote we had for this species, but they are magical. I mean, like Malcolm described, hearing them, you'll never forget that call. Once you hear that gargling call whenever they're flying, and they're big and showy, and they dance around. If you guys are aware of the big sandhill migration every year in Kearney, Nebraska, you've never done that, that is an adventure. You should try to do that the end of March some year and go up there and see, just hundreds of thousands of them. They're a great bird. So yeah, that was a favorite bird vote. And let's see. Here's a vote from who voted for this? This is Carol Erickson, voted for the wood thrush. And it's and like she said, this is a mesmerizing song. The wood thrush is the most beautiful song. It's my favorite bird song. And it is a very flute-like, and a buzz and a chatter to it, but the flute like call, and the thrushes are famous for their beautiful songs. And I think in our area, I will tell you, you guys who live out west in California and Washington, you get to hear the hermit thrush a lot. And I think the hermit thrush has a beautiful, beautiful song. But down here, especially in the southeastern part of the U.S., the wood thrush calling from woodlands, it's just an amazing song. So I like that vote, that's for sure. And let's see. Kelly Fricker, she voted for American Goldfinch, which is great. And then my friend Steve Johnson, who is a firefighter here in the Kansas City region, he voted for the ruby-throated hummingbird. And I've got a little bit for him to read. Let me get up here. And no, I'm adding this, but this is not that was supposed to be coming in. This is not a ruby-throated hummingbird. This is a calliope hummingbird, which got a vote from our friend in Washington State. And
what the heck was that?
What was that? We just had a little pop here in this thunderstorm. But
your light went out.
Hummingbirds got a lot of votes. Yep, there, my light just came back up. It has been, believe me, this has been truly live, folks. This has been an interesting night. But hummingbirds got a lot of votes. Ruby-throated hummingbirds, and this was a calliope hummingbird, and I think the rufous was mentioned, the rufous hummingbird. So hummingbirds are obviously very, very popular. And let me see if I can read Steve's. He says in 2017, I took a picture of a hummingbird, and it was the first photo he'd ever taken of a bird. Little did he know it was going to spark an interest in birds, and he started, coming on my bird hikes. He bought some good quality optics. He upgraded, and like I said, he spent more money on binoculars than he ever thought he would in his life. And now Steve leads bird hikes for the local Audubon chapter here, very active in the bird watching community. And that has all grown since 2017. And he credits that photo he took of that ruby-throated hummingbird with getting him started. So people think, I just can't do this. Everybody else knows so much. Your knowledge can grow very quickly, and it's it's just that interest. People ask me, well, how did I learn so much so fast? Well, I credit literally just picking up a field guide, once I got the interest, and I had to learn, yes, I did have to learn some bird songs for school, but it was me going through that field guide that we had to buy and going through it. And after, that moment, that morning with that prairie warbler, I'd go to John. I say, okay, where do we have to go see this? And he'd say, oh, we need to go down to the coast, and we need to go, or we need to go up in the mountains, or we need to go down the piney woods. And so we just started going all over. We just started every trip we made. We got in the car doing the rain gear and took off, and we went looking for birds. And that's how I learned them, going through that field guide, memorizing the names. And I was so lucky I had John, who was so knowledgeable about birds and would confirm my sightings when I would see something or hear something. So that was, and I recommend anybody can do that. I mean, you can get interested in it and it take off.
Okay, I think because you still got the cedar waxwing comma up, somebody's wanting to know, isn't that a calliope? But you still have
it is definitely a calliope hummingbird. Yes, this is. I think this was taken by my friend Robin, and she was out in Glacier National Park. I think when she took this, she was out hiking, and she got 2 or 3 really good western birds. She had Lewis's woodpecker on that she sent me, and this calliope hummingbird. I've never seen a calliope hummingbird. And so this will be a lifer for me whenever I finally get to see one out there. But anytime I've been out west, I've just missed them, and I really want to see one. Oh, let's see. I know you. Let's see. Yeah, Marcia Luke loves cardinals. Absolutely. And yes, tufted titmouse. That was certainly one that I would look up, Chris. Let's see. Delightful gardens. Eagles are awesome. That's another bird I was kind of surprised didn't get any votes, was the bald eagle. It is so inspiring, no doubt about it. Tiff's backyard birding says brown thrashers are cool. Absolutely. We had one in the backyard today. Showing my daughter. I said, look at that. And I said, when they call, they repeat everything they say. And Morgan said, I hear him a lot then, because I hear that all the time out there. And he's right. They're very vocal. Member of the mimic thrushes, so he's related to to Cardinal. I can't talk. Brown thrashers are related to mockingbirds and the thrashers and catbirds. I say, well, let's get this one up here. Ryan says, Merlin keeps telling me I'm hearing a cedar waxwings, but I'm not buying it. It certainly haven't spotted one. Yeah, that's a really high pitched call. And my hearing is, I'm getting older, my hearing is getting worse. I have a harder and harder time to hearing cedar waxwings. It just depends. And usually you usually don't see one, you usually see a small flock of them. So if you're not seeing them, that's it. It may be, and I'm going to tell you, Merlin is not infallible. Merlin does make mistakes. But you need to use it as a guide and reaffirm. Ooh, Frontier says his favorite bird is a house finch. That is a first time vote there. House finches have beautiful songs. They are, they called them Hollywood finches back at the turn of the last century and sold them as cage birds because of their beautiful song. So house finches are, I love hearing them. They're just absolutely beautiful. My fiance's favorite bird is Cardinal. Let's get this one up here. Megan. Together, we've accumulated 6 bird feeders. Yeah. In the last 3 months, or less than 3 months. Yeah. It's just like field guides. That's one of the things Steve commented on when he got started birding. He said, I had no idea that I would own, however many 14 bird books, lots of different field guides. And, you start accumulating this stuff when you get into the hobby. Bird feeders are the same way. Once you learn that bird feeding hobby, well, I want to attract more goldfinches. So you get a finch feeder. Oh, more woodpeckers. So you get a peanut feeder. And it just grows. Once you get into it. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, Raj. I saw the picture blue grosbeak in Maryland last week. I love the grosbeaks. I grew up with them in North Carolina here, and they're absolutely beautiful. Ooh, Chris says that bird he was describing is more the size of a blue jay. I wonder if it wasn't, if it had a crest, it may have been like a leucistic blue jay, something that had very little color to it. But if it had the crest mark, and it may not have had a lot of pigment to it, so it's possible that. And let's see. Brenda Hall, favorite bird, northern flicker. Absolutely. We talked about that bird just a little bit ago. The cranes are awesome when they migrate into Texas shore. You hear them before you see them. Absolutely, John. Yes, I remember my life. Sandhill crane was in Florida, like 1988, and my buddy John and I were down there bird watching, and we heard those sandhill cranes coming, and we just had to, spin around till we could find them coming, and they came cruising in and landed real close to us in the marsh. You hear them long before you see them, usually, that's for sure. Let's see, what's this? Atlas, Chris? Okay, definitely not as big as Jay. You should blue. Yeah, there you go. He's Atlas is saying the same thing I am. It's possibly could have been. Oh, thank you, Dave. Thanks for reminding me. I always forget that. Dave from Rhode Island is reminding people to give us the thumbs up. That really helps me, believe me. And my goodness, Dave sent in an incredible story about how he got started with this, and I love the story because it was first with his grandson, and they bought a birdhouse kit to put together. It's a chickadee house, and they put it together and put it out. Well, he didn't know at the time, but this house was a death trap. And unfortunately, I talked to David about this. There are a lot of people who make stuff for birds that don't know what they're doing. They shouldn't be making them. They don't put the right size holes in them. They don't make them easy to clean out. Like the birdhouse he sent a picture of me. It actually had a food trough on the front of the birdhouse, right in front of the hole these poor birds are trying to nest in. Of course, all this does is draw other birds into that birdhouse and drives the adults crazy. Well, as it turns out, it was a disaster for them. The female was killed first, and the male kept trying to feed the babies, and the house sparrows, and the hole was too big, and et cetera. So it inspired David and his grandson to do research and to find out, what was wrong. And he took the food trough off, and he got the right size hole, and he made adjustments to the box, which is great. And it's inspirational because that's definitely what he should be doing. But without a doubt, the chickadee is one of the favorite birds of every, and it's got more votes than any birds tonight or on my spreadsheet. People love chickadees, and without it, there's no secret why. I mean, they're cute, they're very active, they're smart, they're brave, and they're traveling family groups and they bicker among each other. I love them. But it was an inspirational thing. It was a project of love between he and his grandson, and they've learned a lot. And I guess it's helped them find me, in this channel, and to help learn more about birds. And I really appreciate that story, David. I love it, and especially when it involves getting your grandkids involved. That is absolutely. Let's see. And another kind of looks like a big. Absolutely. I think maybe that was the story there.
What's that noise?
Definitely. Let's see, Merlin. Yeah, definitely. They were talking about, there's some conversation going on about the Merlin making mistakes, but definitely try to get visual confirmation. And that's such a good idea. Exactly. Let's see, Alyssa. Let's get to you, Alyssa, and then we'll get to Malcolm. My great-grandfather was a bird watcher, born in 1915. I used the old binoculars to get started. It would be interesting to see the old field guides to see the different information. And I love doing that. Alyssa, that's a real favorite for me, things for me to do. And you'll hear me every so often when I talk about a bird, I'll often refer to that old name that was in old field guides, because I've loved looking that up and looking at old field guides and seeing what they called the birds a long time ago. I had a neighbor, it was my Melanie's parents' neighbor in North Carolina, who was an elderly gentleman who'd been watching birds for years. And I remember him telling me, he said, "They're back here behind this house." He said, "There used to be so many birds, and they would come in migration, those little warblers, we'd have to shoot them to identify them." And, oh God. And believe me, that's what happened. I mean, and he's talking about in the 20s, and he's talking about the 30s, and didn't have very good field guides. The binoculars were really bad, and they would do that. That way they go pick them up, and then they could look it up, and they'd find the bird. So luckily that's not the way of doing it anymore. But people were interested in birds long ago, and you look through some of those really old binoculars, and you go, wow, how did they do that? So that's awesome. They absolutely. Let's see, Malcolm. As much as I still enjoy sandhill cranes, the bird I enjoyed seeing most today were the feeding Caspian terns. Hey, you can tell Malcolm's a big birder. Caspian terns are. I love terns as a whole. They're, most people think they're gulls when they see them, but rapid wing beats, sharp wings, and they dive and just hit the water and come up with a fish, and they're master fish catchers. Yeah, Caspian terns are gorgeous, and yeah, we're right at the time to start seeing them in the Kansas City region. It's late summer, and I think Malcolm, like I said, is one like Ruth. His favorite bird's the next one that he sees. That's how. All right, Atlas. Let's see what this says. Mockingbirds, brown thrashers, gray catbirds, manatees. Yep, love my hot pepper suet feeding during the spring and summer. It's a revolving door until the pileated woodpecker crashes the party. Atlas and all, yeah, yep. Yeah, I know Steve down in South Alabama. We just sent him a case of hot pepper suet plugs today. I know his birds really like it down there. So, all right, let's see. Ellie, yes, Cardinals are my favorite. Yeah, let's see. I have 16 different birds coming to feeders. So, lady who said the next bird I see is my favorite is right. Yeah, absolutely.
Just tell her that was Ruth.
Yeah, that was Ruth, Ellie. Ruth. Let's see. Bob Cloud checking in from northern lower Michigan. All right, here. Enjoy your vids. Thank you so much. We got Chris. I've been racking my brain on crested birds in North Carolina and coming up with cardinal, blue jay, titmice, great crested flycatcher. Although this line has brown and yellow. Yep.
So the Atlas and Wall was really trying to help.
Yep,
Thank you.
Trying to help. Thank you so much. And I agree. Unless you talk about a bird that maybe has some leucism where there's not enough pigment, and I think that maybe we might go down that road. David from Rhode Island, grandson, hard here. Oh, hi there. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining in. I enjoyed your story, and I hope your chickadees continue to nest and successfully nest. Let's see. I have a Peterson that still lists old squaw, long-billed, long-tailed duck. Yep. And a lot of older birds here say the old names like marsh hawk. I'm trying to retain what I can. Absolutely. They those old names, that you might find one that still calls a kestrel a sparrowhawk, or a peregrine falcon, a duck hawk. And lots of old names in those old books. It's really fun to look those guys up. And let's see. Oh, come on. Yeah. I can really, starlings are my favorite bird. Not. Absolutely. Yeah, that's very true. All right. So I was going to, going back to our nuthatch, promised to read, Steve sent me this in. I think maybe David from Rhode Island and Steve were the first two that sent in something. And this is Steve's story. He said, well, for me, my wife and I lived in northwest New Jersey on the side of a mountain in Hunterdon County. Tons of trees and few neighbors. We had a bird feeder out with sunflower hearts bought from a local agway. One day after work, I was a firefighter for 30 years, EMT for 30 years in north central New Jersey. I was sitting on my deck with our adopted corgis. I watched a small little penguin bird arrive at the feeders and made an adorable noise. And he grabbed a seed, flew over and stuffed it into the bark of a tree upside down. It appeared to hide the seed and then came back and made several trips. That morning, I ran back to my agway, purchased a bird book, and when I began to learn about white-breasted nuthatches, the little penguin bird. His biggest challenge from then on in that part of the world were bears. something we don't have to deal with very much here. But he and a friend rigged up a pulley system that they could raise and lower the feeders and keep it out of the reach of the bears, which is very, very smart. Now he's retired. They've retired down to South Alabama. And down there, he gets to see the brown, like I said, the brown-headed nuthatch here, but they're his favorites. And he also loves hummingbirds too. So it's a great story. Thank you for sending that in, Steve. Patsy Freeman, I know this person. She might be the mother of the lady who's sitting right beside me. Her favorite bird is the cardinal. Yep, state bird of North Carolina. Absolutely beautiful. Denise, thank you. Yeah, thank you for all that we do. I thank you guys for tuning in. It's been really fun. Like I said, we've got a lot of birds here, and I hope I didn't miss anybody. Like I said, it's kind of tricky jumping back and forth and trying to make sure I mentioned everybody and everybody's birds. But this was a fun exercise. I really appreciate you guys taking part in it and sending in your favorites. And like I said, and David, thank you so much for reminding people, if you do, remember, hit that like button. For you guys on YouTube, the thumbs up, make sure you subscribe. Comments help. You guys have been wonderful tonight. And send in ideas. Again, let me know what you want me to talk about. I've got some good suggestions this week. We're going to get those added to it. Absolutely, Steve. Great story. They thanking you guys all. And let me get back to here. Hold on. Get me back on the main screen, I guess. Like I said, I'm a biologist, and all this technical stuff, I'm kind of getting used to it. And then they threw this curveball at me this week with my laptop, and I don't have the screen. But Melanie's been a huge help. Morgan did the lighting and my hair, and so because that's always a challenge. But we thank you so much for tuning in. It's been fun. Thank everybody for sending in your emails and your posts. Let me know what your favorite birds are. It means a lot, and it's been fun. It really has been. I love seeing the comments, and you guys. Like I said, I love your diversity. Fox sparrows, sandhill cranes, and cardinals, and common birds and not so common birds. It just shows you the diversity of interest from all over the country. Absolutely. Well, I don't know how much longer we're going to have power here. It's still thundering pretty good. Lights flickered. I'm glad we were able to stay on the air for the whole time. Thank you for tuning in. Again, I really apologize if I didn't get to your comment. I tried. It was just very hard to do at night with this setup right now. But thank you all, everybody. And I'll be on. And I think 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be back on again. And we will talk to you then. Thanks so much. Okay.